"Hold my hand," the 7-year-old whispered to the blind girl on her back. "Don't let go." Bullets exploded behind them. Fire consumed the warehouse. 3 men with guns closed in, and Harper Reed, homeless, starving. Forgotten by the world, ran faster than she'd ever run in her life. She didn't know the child clinging to her neck was worth $2 million to human traffickers. She didn't know 20 motorcycles were thundering through Memphis, searching for this little girl. And she didn't know the man leading them, the one who would burn the city down to find his daughter, was about to discover that a street kid had already saved her. Please subscribe to my channel, follow this story to the very end, and comment what city you're watching from so I can see how far this story has traveled. Harper Reed had been invisible for 14 months. Not invisible like a superhero. Invisible like trash, like a stain on the sidewalk that people stepped over without seeing. Like something that existed but didn't matter enough for anyone to notice. She was 7 years old, and she had learned the most important lesson the streets could teach invisible kids: live longer. "Hey! Get away from there!" Harper's hands froze inside the recycling bin behind Lucky Wash laundromat. The voice came from the back door, a man in a stained apron, cigarette hanging from his lips, eyes already looking through her like she was made of glass. "I said move." She grabbed 3 aluminum cans and ran. No point arguing, no point explaining. People didn't listen to invisible kids, they just wanted them gone. 4 blocks later, she stopped in the shadow of a dumpster and counted her haul. 11 cans, maybe 30 cents if the recycling center was feeling generous. Enough for a day-old donut from the gas station if she smiled right, and the night clerk was the nice one. Her stomach cramped. She couldn't remember her last real meal. "Gracie would be so disappointed in you." Harper whispered the words to herself, the same words her grandmother used to say when Harper did something wrong. Gracie, that was what Grandma called her. Not Harper, Gracie. Because she said Harper moved through the world with grace, even when the world was hard. Grandma had been wrong about a lot of things. But Harper kept the name anyway, kept it locked in a place inside her chest where the streets couldn't touch it. 14 months ago, Grandma had been alive. They'd lived in a small apartment with yellow curtains and a kitchen that always smelled like coffee. Grandma had cancer, but she kept saying she'd beat it, kept saying they'd be fine. She lied. Harper found her in the morning, still in her chair, eyes closed, coffee cold on the table beside her. She'd looked peaceful, like she was sleeping. Harper had sat with her for 6 hours before she understood that Grandma wasn't going to wake up. After that, everything happened fast. People in suits came, social workers with clipboards, a foster home that smelled like cigarettes and despair, a foster father who looked at her in ways that made her skin crawl. She ran after 3 days. The streets were hard, but they were honest. They didn't pretend to care about you while planning to hurt you. They just hurt you outright, and at least that was something you could prepare for. "You got any food?" Harper spun around. A boy, maybe 9 or 10, had appeared behind her. Dirty face, hungry eyes. She'd seen him before around the I-40 overpass where the homeless people gathered. "No." "Liar. I saw you at the gas station yesterday. You got a donut." "That was yesterday. It's gone." The boy stepped closer. He was bigger than her, older. "Give me your cans." "No." "Give them to me, or I'll take them." Harper's hand slipped into her pocket, found the piece of broken glass she always carried. She didn't pull it out. Just let him see that her hand was in her pocket, that she wasn't scared, that invisible didn't mean helpless. "Try it." The boy hesitated. Something in her eyes made him step back. "Whatever. Those cans aren't worth nothing anyway." He disappeared around the corner, and Harper let out a breath she didn't know she'd been holding. Her hands were shaking. They always shook after confrontations like this, but she'd learned to hide it, learned to keep her face blank until she was alone. Rule number 1, never let them see you're afraid. Rule number 2, trust no one. Rule number 3, protect what's yours, even if what's yours is almost nothing. She had 3 rules, and they had kept her alive for 14 months. That was more than a lot of street kids could say. The afternoon sun was brutal. Memphis in July was like living inside an oven. The concrete radiated heat. The air shimmered. Harper had learned to move in the shadows to find the cool spots beneath overpasses and behind air conditioning units that pumped cold air into buildings she would never enter. She was heading toward the river. There was a spot under the Hernando de Soto Bridge where the breeze came off the water and the temperature dropped 10 degrees when she saw the playground. Riverside Park. Nice part of town. The kind of place where parents brought their kids on Saturday afternoons, where the swings weren't broken and the slides weren't covered in graffiti. Harper usually avoided places like this. Clean neighborhoods meant suspicious neighbors meant people who called the police when they saw a dirty kid who didn't belong. But today, something made her stop. A little girl sat alone on a bench near the swings. Blonde hair, maybe 5 years old, wearing a pretty blue dress that probably cost more than everything Harper had ever owned. She wasn't playing. She was just sitting, her hands folded in her lap, her face turned toward the sun. There was something wrong with her eyes. Harper couldn't explain how she knew, but she knew. The way the girl's gaze didn't quite focus. The way her head tilted slightly like she was listening instead of looking. The way her hands moved in small, careful patterns mapping the space around her by touch. The girl was blind. "Where's your mom?" Harper whispered too far away to be heard. "Why are you alone?" As if answering, a woman approached the bench. Nurse's uniform. Friendly smile. She sat down next to the blonde girl and said something Harper couldn't hear. The girl shook her head. The woman said something else. The girl shook her head again, more firmly this time. Then the woman grabbed her arm. Harper felt something cold slide down her spine. She knew that grab. She'd felt that grab in the foster home when the foster father's patience ran out. It was the grab of an adult who had stopped pretending. "No!" The little girl's voice carried across the playground. "You're not my daddy's friend. Let go. Be quiet." The woman's voice was different now. Hard. Mean. "Come with me or I'll hurt you." "Daddy, Daddy, help!" Harper's body moved before her brain caught up. She was running, across the grass toward the parking lot where a black SUV had pulled up, its side door sliding open. The woman was dragging the screaming girl toward it, and a man had gotten out to help, and no one else was around. No one was coming. No one was going to stop this. Harper reached them just as the woman shoved the girl into the van. "Hey!" The woman spun around. Her eyes went wide when she saw Harper, just another kid, small and dirty, and nobody, and then they went cold. "Get lost." "Let her go." The man moved toward Harper, reaching for her, but she was fast, street fast, survival fast. She ducked under his arm and threw herself at the van's open door. She didn't know what she was doing, didn't have a plan, just knew that the blind girl was screaming and crying and nobody else was helping, and she couldn't walk away, couldn't be the kind of person who walked away. Her hands caught the doorframe just as the van started moving. "What the?" The man grabbed for her, missed. "There's another kid! Go, go!" The van accelerated. Harper held on. The pavement rushed beneath her feet, tearing at her shoes. And she knew she should let go, knew this was insane. But the blind girl was still screaming inside, and Harper couldn't let go, couldn't abandon her. She did something crazy. She dropped down and grabbed the undercarriage. The van's frame was hot and sharp and covered in road grime. Harper wrapped her arms and legs around whatever she could find, pipes, cables, metal bars, and hung on as the vehicle sped through Memphis. Every bump slammed her against the metal. Every turn threatened to throw her loose. She closed her eyes and thought about Grandma, about the yellow curtains, about being Grace, instead of Harper, about anything except the fact that she was going to die. 7 minutes. 7 minutes of hell of wind and noise and pain, of her arms screaming and her fingers cramping and her whole body begging her to let go. Then the van stopped. Harper waited. She heard doors opening, voices, footsteps moving away. She waited until the sounds faded, then dropped silently to the ground and rolled under a nearby vehicle. She was in some kind of industrial area. Old buildings, broken windows. The smell of oil and rust and something else, something chemical that burned her nose. And somewhere inside one of those buildings, a blind girl was crying. Harper watched for 3 hours. She counted the men, 7 of them, moving in and out of the building. She watched them smoke cigarettes and make phone calls and laugh about things she couldn't hear. She memorized their faces, their voices, the way they walked. She should leave. She knew she should leave. Call the police from a payphone. Tell someone. Let adults handle it. But Harper had learned something about adults in her 14 months on the streets. They didn't help. They didn't listen. They looked through invisible kids like they were made of glass. And when they did see you, they usually wanted something from you, something you didn't want to give. Besides, the police scared her. The last time she'd talked to a cop, he'd tried to take her to social services. Back to the system. Back to foster homes and people who grabbed you when they were angry. So she waited. And watched. And planned. When darkness fell, she moved. The building had a broken window on the east side, hidden behind a stack of old pallets. Harper squeezed through, ignoring the glass that cut her arm, and dropped into shadow. Inside the building was a maze of old machinery and empty crates. Harper moved like smoke, like Grandma used to say, "You move like smoke, Gracie, like you're barely there at all," and followed the sound of crying. She found the girl in a storage closet on the second floor. The door had a padlock, old and rusted. Harper pulled out the piece of wire she always carried and went to work. Lockpicking was a skill she'd learned from a homeless man named Eddie, who used to let her share his spot under the overpass. Eddie was dead now, heart attack in his sleep, they said, but the skill remained. The lock clicked open. The blonde girl was huddled in the corner, her arms wrapped around her knees, tears streaming down her face. She turned toward the sound of the door, her unseeing eyes wide with terror. "Who's there? Please, I'm scared. Who's there?" Harper's heart cracked. "It's okay," she whispered, closing the door behind her, shutting out the light from the hallway. "I'm not one of them. I'm going to help you." "Who are you?" "My name is Harper. I saw them take you. I followed." The girl's crying slowed, but her body still trembled. You followed?" "I couldn't leave you." "What's your name?" "Lily Mercer. I want my daddy. I want to go home." Harper knelt in front of her, close but not touching. She remembered what it was like to be scared. Remembered the foster home, the dark room, the fear of being touched by someone you didn't trust. "I'm going to get you out of here, Lily. But you have to be quiet. Can you do that?" Lily nodded, her breath hitching. "Okay. I need you to tell me about yourself, so I know how to help you." "I'm 5. I can't see. I was born that way. Daddy says I see with my other senses that I'm special. But right now I don't feel special. I feel scared." "That's okay. Being scared is okay. I'm scared too." "You are really scared. But we're going to be brave together." "Okay." Lily's hand reached out, searching. Harper hesitated, then took it. The girl's fingers were cold and small, and they held on like Harper was the only solid thing in a world that had turned to water. "Will you stay with me?" "I'll stay with you." "Promise?" Harper squeezed her hand. "I promise." They had to wait. The men were still awake, still moving through the building. Harper sat with Lily in the dark closet, holding her hand, listening to the footsteps pass by, feeling the little girl tremble every time a voice rose or a door slammed. "Tell me about your daddy," Harper whispered. Anything to keep Lily calm. Anything to pass the time. "He's big, really big, and he has a beard that tickles when he hugs me, and he smells like motorcycles and coffee." "Motorcycles?" "He rides them. He has a lot of friends who ride them too. They're called the Iron Wolves. That's their club." Harper felt something shift in her chest. She'd seen motorcycle clubs before. Rough men on loud bikes, leather jackets with patches, the kind of people regular folks crossed the street to avoid. But the way Lily talked about them, are they scary? "No, they're nice. Uncle Snake brings me candy. And Rosie, she's not my real aunt, but I call her that. She teaches me how to braid hair by touch. And Big Mike reads me stories. He does different voices for all the characters." Harper tried to imagine it. A family that wasn't blood, but chose to be together anyway. People who took care of each other because they wanted to, not because they had to. It sounded like a fairy tale. "Daddy's going to find me," Lily said, her voice suddenly fierce. "He always finds me. He promised he'd always protect me, and Daddy never breaks his promises." I believe you. Really? Really? But until he finds you, I'm going to protect you. Is that okay? Lily's grip tightened. You're nice, Harper. Are you someone's kid too? The question hit like a punch to the stomach. I used to be, Harper said softly. My grandma raised me, but she died. Now I don't belong to anyone. That's sad. Yeah. When Daddy finds us, I'll tell him about you. He'll help you. He helps everyone. Harper didn't respond. She'd learned not to hope for things like that. Hope was a luxury for kids who had homes and parents and people who cared. Street kids couldn't afford hope. It hurt too much when it broke. But she didn't say any of that. She just held Lily's hand and listened to the footsteps outside and waited for her moment. The moment came at 2 a.m. The footsteps had stopped. The voices had gone quiet. Harper pressed her ear to the door and heard nothing but the distant sound of snoring. Lily. The girl had been dozing her head against Harper's shoulder. It's time. We're going to leave now. Lily woke instantly, her body tensing. Is it safe? I don't know, but we have to try. Can you climb on my back? I'm heavy. I'm strong. Harper helped Lily onto her back, adjusting her grip. The girl's arms wrapped around her neck, her legs around her waist. She was heavier than Harper expected, but not impossible. Don't let go, Harper whispered. I won't, I promise. Harper opened the door. The hallway was dark, lit only by the faint glow of a security light at the far end. Harper moved slowly, testing each step, listening for any sound of movement. Lily was silent on her back, barely breathing. They reached the stairs without incident. Harper started down one careful step at a time. The old wood creaked under their weight, and she froze, heart pounding, waiting for shouts, for footsteps, for the nightmare to begin. Nothing. She kept moving. The ground floor was more exposed, a large open space filled with old machinery. Harper could see the broken window she'd entered through maybe 50 feet away. The moonlight streaming through it looked like salvation. They were almost there when she heard the voice. Hey! Harper ran. Behind her, someone shouted. A light flared. Footsteps pounded against concrete. The kid's gone. Someone took the kid. Harper hit the pallets at full speed, shoving them aside, diving for the window. Glass tore at her already cut arm, but she didn't stop, couldn't stop, could only hold Lily tight and run, and the night exploded with gunfire. Harper stumbled, something hot grazing her shoulder, and she fell forward into darkness and mud and the smell of stagnant water. A drainage ditch. She'd landed in a drainage ditch. Harper, shh, stay quiet. She pressed them both into the mud, into the shadow, into the nothing. Above them, flashlight beams swept through the darkness. Voices shouted. An engine roared to life. Find them! Find them now! Harper didn't move, didn't breathe. She held Lily against her chest and felt the girl's heartbeat hammering against her own, and prayed to whoever was listening to Grandma, to God, to the universe, that they wouldn't be found. The flashlights passed over them. The shouting moved away, and in the sudden silence broken only by the drip of water and Lily's muffled crying, Harper made a decision. She was going to get this girl home. She didn't know how. Didn't know where the Iron Wolves were. Didn't know if they were even real or just a fairy tale a scared child told herself in the dark. But she was going to try. Because Lily had grabbed her hand and trusted her. Because nobody had trusted Harper in 14 months. Because somewhere in her 7-year-old heart, in the place where Gracie still lived, she knew this was what she was supposed to do. She stood up, pulling Lily with her. Hold on tight. Are we safe? Not yet, but we will be, I promise. They ran into the night, leaving the burning warehouse behind them, leaving the shouts and gunfire and searchlights, heading toward a future Harper couldn't see, and a family she didn't know was already looking for them. Above them, the distant rumble of thunder. Or maybe motorcycles. Harper didn't know yet that it was both. Dominic Mercer hadn't slept in 3 days. He stood in his daughter's bedroom holding the stuffed wolf she'd had since birth. It still smelled like her. Like strawberry shampoo and innocence and everything good he'd ever done in his miserable life. Lily had been gone for 72 hours. Dom, Snake appeared in the doorway. Dominic didn't turn around. Gears found something. Now he turned. Snake's face told him everything. After 20 years of brotherhood, they didn't need words for the important things. That look meant hope. That look meant violence was coming. Where? South Memphis, old industrial district. He traced the van's plates through traffic cameras, cross-referenced cell phone pings, found a warehouse that doesn't exist on any city records. Dominic was already moving. Get everyone. Already done. They're waiting. The compound's main hall was full when Dominic walked in. 21 men stood in silence, their faces hard, their eyes fixed on their president. These were the Iron Wolves. Former soldiers, former cops, former criminals who'd found redemption in brotherhood. Men who'd killed and bled and suffered together. Men who would die for each other without hesitation. And every single one of them loved his little girl. You all know what happened, Dominic said. His voice was steady, but his hands shook. He didn't try to hide it. These men had seen him at his worst. 72 hours ago, someone took my daughter. The police have nothing. The FBI has nothing. But Gears found them. Gears stepped forward, laptop in hand. 26 years old, skinny, covered in tattoos that told stories most people couldn't read. He'd been a hacker before he found the club, stealing from corporations and giving to causes he believed in. Now he used those skills for family. Riverside Cotton Warehouse, Gears said. Abandoned since 2008. No utilities, no permits, nothing official. But I found heat signatures. At least 7 people inside. And cell phone data that matches the burner phones used to coordinate the kidnapping. How sure are you? 92%. Dominic looked at Snake. Good enough. More than enough. Rosie pushed through the crowd. She was the only woman who wore a full patch earned through years of proving herself in ways the men still talked about in whispers. She ran a halfway house for abused women, and she'd helped raise Lily since Elena died. I'm coming, she said. It wasn't a question. Rosie. That little girl calls me Auntie. I braided her hair last week. I taught her to make friendship bracelets by touch. I'm coming. Dominic nodded. He knew better than to argue. Big Mike stepped forward next. 6'6", 320 pounds, a gentle giant who read poetry to his grandchildren and could snap a man's neck without breaking a sweat. We bringing them back alive? The question hung in the air. Dominic thought about his daughter, blind since birth, scared of thunderstorms, couldn't sleep without her stuffed wolf. The bravest, sweetest child he'd ever known, stolen from a playground by monsters who saw her as merchandise. If they surrender, he said finally. If not, he didn't finish. He didn't have to. 22 motorcycles roared to life in the compound's garage. The sound was like thunder, like war drums, like the voice of something ancient and unstoppable. The Iron Wolves rode into the night, and God help anyone who stood between them and Lily. Across Memphis, Harper ran. Her legs burned, her lungs screamed. The wound on her shoulder throbbed with every heartbeat. But she didn't stop, couldn't stop. Lily was on her back, arms wrapped tight around her neck, and somewhere behind them, engines roared, and men shouted, and the night itself seemed to be hunting them. Harper! Lily's voice was tiny, terrified. I'm here. Are they following us? Harper glanced back. Headlights cut through the darkness maybe half a mile away. 2 vehicles moving fast. Yes. Are we going to die? The question hit Harper like a physical blow. 5 years old. This child was 5 years old, and she was asking if she was going to die. No, Harper said fiercely. I won't let them hurt you, I promise. Okay. Such simple trust. Such complete faith in a stranger she'd met hours ago. Harper felt something crack open in her chest, something she'd kept locked away since Grandma died. She ran faster. The industrial district gave way to residential streets. Small houses with chain-link fences, barking dogs. The occasional porch light that made Harper's heart race until she passed beyond its reach. She needed a plan. She needed help. She needed... I know where we are, Lily said suddenly. Harper stumbled, nearly fell. What? I can hear the train. The one that runs by Daddy's garage. It sounds far away, but I know which direction it is. You can tell direction by sound. Daddy taught me. He says my ears are better than most people's eyes. Hope flared in Harper's chest, dangerous and bright. Can you guide us? I think so. Turn left at the next street. How do you know there's a street? I can hear the traffic signal clicking, the one that beeps for blind people. Harper turned left, and for the first time since this nightmare began, she felt something other than fear. She felt possibility. Behind them, the headlights grew closer. Dominic's phone rang as they rode. He answered without slowing, the Bluetooth in his helmet crackling. Talk. It's Sheriff Washburn. June Washburn's voice was tense. Where are you? Heading south. Gears found the warehouse. Dom, listen to me. I just got word from my contact in MPD. There's something wrong with this case. Wrong how, Gio? The detective running the investigation, Carl Brennan, he's dirty. Dominic's grip tightened on the handlebars. How dirty? Deep dirty. I've been suspicious for years, but I could never prove anything. Tonight I pulled some strings. Brennan's been taking payments from someone for the past 8 years. Large payments. Offshore accounts. Connected to Lily's kidnapping? I don't know yet, but Dom, if he is, this isn't just some random abduction. This is organized. Professional. I'm working on it. Just be careful. If Brennan's involved, he has access to police resources, radios, dispatch, everything. Noted. And Dom, bring her home. Whatever it takes. The line went dead. Dominic opened the throttle. The Harley surged forward, eating the distance between him and his daughter. Whatever it takes. He'd done terrible things in his life. In Afghanistan, in the years after, in the dark period when he'd lost his way and found it again through the brotherhood. He'd killed men, hurt men, made choices that still haunted him in the quiet hours before dawn. But for Lily, for his little girl, he would burn the whole world down. Harper heard the helicopter before she saw it. A distant thump, thump, thump that grew louder, closer, accompanied by a searchlight that swept across the rooftops like an accusing finger. What's that sound? Lily asked. Helicopter. Like the police have. Harper's blood ran cold. The police. If the police found them, they'd take Lily back to her father. That was good. That was what Harper wanted. But they'd also take Harper. Back to the system. Back to foster care. Back to no. She couldn't think about that. Lily was what mattered. Lily was the mission. Keep guiding me, Harper said. Which way? Straight ahead. I can hear the train getting closer. They ran through backyards and parking lots, through spaces between buildings that Harper could barely squeeze through. The helicopter swept overhead once, twice its searchlight missing them by inches. They're looking for us, Lily whispered. I know. But why wouldn't the police want to help us? Harper didn't answer. She didn't know how to explain that sometimes the people who were supposed to help you were the ones who hurt you most. They reached the train tracks just as a freight train thundered past its cars, rattling and screeching. Harper pressed them both against a concrete pillar and waited for it to pass, counting the cars, using the noise to cover their breathing. 57 cars later, silence returned. The garage is that way, Lily said, pointing to the right. Maybe 2 miles. 2 miles? Is that too far? Harper looked at her shoulder. Blood had soaked through her shirt. Her legs felt like jelly. 2 miles might as well be 20, but she'd carried Lily this far. She would carry her the rest of the way. No, Harper said. It's not too far. Hold on tight. She started running again. The iron wolves reached the warehouse to find it burning. Flames shot from the windows, turning the night sky orange. Fire trucks were already on scene, their sirens wailing, their crews fighting a blaze that seemed determined to consume everything. Dominic was off his bike before it fully stopped. He grabbed the nearest firefighter by the collar. Was anyone inside? A little girl, blonde hair, 5 years old. Sir, I need you to step back. Was there a girl? Snake appeared beside him, placed a calming hand on his arm. Easy, brother, easy. The firefighter's eyes went wide at the sight of 22 bikers surrounding him. We don't know yet. The building was engulfed when we arrived. We're still trying to... Dom. Gears was on his phone, his face pale. I'm picking up chatter on the police scanner. 2 vehicles reported in pursuit of a juvenile suspect. Female, approximately 7 years old, carrying a younger child. Where? Heading northeast, toward the river. Dominic released the firefighter. His heart was pounding so hard he could feel it in his teeth. Lily was alive. Someone had taken her from the warehouse. Someone was carrying her. Someone was running from the men who'd kidnapped her. Who? It didn't matter. Whoever they were protecting his daughter. And that meant they were under his protection too. "Mount up," he roared. "Northeast, move." 22 engines screamed. The convoy tore through the night, following the trail of a 7-year-old girl whose name they didn't know. Marcus Webb was not a patient man. He sat in the back of his Mercedes, watching the GPS dots that represented his vehicles converge on the fleeing children. His phone was pressed to his ear, his voice cold. "Tell me you have them." "We're closing in," said the voice on the other end. "Another few minutes." "You said that an hour ago." "The older kid knows the streets. She's evading like a professional." "She's 7 years old. I know what she is. I'm telling you what she's doing." Webb's hand tightened on the phone. Lily Mercer had been a perfect acquisition. A blind child from a wealthy family, easy to transport, easy to control, commanding a premium price from certain overseas buyers. Now everything was falling apart because of some homeless brat who'd decided to play hero. "I want that girl dead," Webb said quietly. "The older one, not captured, dead. She's seen too many faces, heard too many names. She's a liability. And the Mercer kid, bring her to me, intact." He ended the call and looked out the window at the Memphis skyline. This city had been good to him. 18 years of operation, hundreds of children, sold millions of dollars earned. All of it invisible, untraceable, protected by the network of corruption he'd spent decades building. One homeless child was not going to destroy everything he'd built. He dialed another number. "Brennan, I need your people to intercept 2 juvenile females heading northeast toward the river. The older one is to be eliminated on sight. The younger one recovered." "That's going to be messy," Brennan's voice said. "I don't care. Clean it up afterward. That's what I pay you for." "Understood." Webb hung up and smiled. The game was almost over. Harper heard the motorcycles. At first she thought it was the vehicles chasing her. But this sound was different. Deeper, more numerous. A rumble that seemed to come from everywhere at once, growing louder by the second. "Harper." Lily lifted her head. "I hear them." "Hear what?" "Motorcycles. A lot of them." Her voice changed, filled with sudden, desperate hope. "That's them. That's the Iron Wolves. That's Daddy." Harper's heart clenched. "Are you sure?" "I know that sound. I've heard it my whole life. Daddy's coming. He found us." For a moment, Harper felt something she hadn't felt in 14 months. Relief. But then she heard the other sound. Tires screeching. Engines roaring. Coming from the opposite direction. The men chasing them were closing in. And the motorcycles were still too far away. "Lily, hold on. Don't let go no matter what." "I won't." Harper ran. Her body was failing. Every step sent pain shooting through her legs, her shoulder, her chest. Blood dripped from her wound, leaving a trail behind them. But she didn't stop. Couldn't stop. The headlights appeared at the end of the street. Harper veered left into an alley. Dead end. She spun around, searching for an escape, finding nothing. Trapped. The vehicles stopped at the alley's entrance. Doors opened. Men emerged, silhouetted against the headlights. "End of the line, kid." Harper set Lily down, gently positioning the smaller girl behind her. "Stay behind me," she whispered. "Harper, stay. Behind. Me." The men advanced. 3 of them. Harper recognized 2 from the warehouse. The third was new, but his eyes were the same. Cold. Empty. The eyes of someone who had stopped seeing children as human beings a long time ago. "You gave us a hell of a chase," the first man said. "I'm almost impressed." Let her go, Harper said. Her voice was steady. She didn't know where that steadiness came from, but she held on to it. She's just a little kid. She's blind. She can't identify anyone. Maybe, but you can. He raised his gun. Harper didn't move, didn't run, didn't look away. If she was going to die, she would die facing her killers. She would die standing between them and the child who trusted her. That was the only choice left. The gunshot never came. Instead, the night exploded with thunder. 22 motorcycles poured into the street, their headlights blinding their engines, screaming. The iron wolves hit the scene like a wave of chrome and leather and fury. The men with guns spun around confused. Harper didn't hesitate. She grabbed Lily, lifted her onto her back, and ran straight toward the motorcycles. The lead rider was huge-bearded, terrifying. His eyes locked onto Harper with an intensity that should have frightened her. But Lily was screaming one word over and over. Daddy! 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 And the terrifying man's face transformed into something Harper had never seen before. Pure, desperate love. Lily. He was off his bike in an instant, running toward them, his arms open. Harper's legs finally gave out. She collapsed, but strong hands caught them both, scooped them up, cradled them against a chest that smelled like leather and gasoline and safety. Gunfire erupted behind them. The man, Lily's father, twisted, shielding both girls with his body. Harper felt him jerk as something hit his arm, but he didn't fall, didn't let go. He carried them behind the motorcycles, behind the wall of men who had formed a barrier between them and the shooters. Daddy! Lily was crying. Daddy, I knew you'd come. I knew you'd find me. I'll always find you, baby. Always. He looked at Harper then, really looked at her, at her torn clothes, her bleeding shoulder, her exhausted, terrified face. You, he said. You saved her. Harper couldn't speak. All the strength she had held on to for the past hours, the past days, the past 14 months, it all drained out of her at once. She started to shake. Hey. His voice was different now. Gentle. Hey, it's okay. You're safe. You're both safe. I didn't... Harper's voice cracked. I didn't know if I could do it. I didn't know if I could save her. But you did. You carried my daughter through hell. You stood in front of a gun for her. She needed help. Nobody else was helping. The man's eyes glistened. Behind him, the gunfire had stopped. The shooters were down, subdued by the iron wolves, but he didn't look away from Harper. What's your name, kid? Harper. Harper Reed. Harper. He said it like it meant something, like she meant something. I'm Dominic, and I owe you more than I can ever repay. A woman appeared beside them. Rosie. Her eyes went wide when she saw Harper's condition. Jesus Christ, she's bleeding. Dom, she needs medical attention. Doc. A man with gray hair and steady hands pushed through. He took one look at Harper and his expression went grim. Gunshot wound. Shallow, but it's been bleeding for hours. Possible infection. We need to get her stabilized. Do it. Harper felt herself being lowered onto something soft. A jacket, maybe. Hands were pressing against her shoulder, applying pressure, and it hurt, but she didn't cry out. Lily's hand found hers. Don't die, Lily whispered. Please don't die. You're my friend. Harper squeezed back. I'm not going anywhere, she said. I promised I wouldn't let go. In the distance, sirens wailed. The police were coming, and none of them knew yet that the danger was just beginning. Dominic looked up at the approaching lights, red and blue flashing against the buildings, multiple vehicles, coming fast. That's a lot of cops, Snake said quietly. Too many for a standard response. Sheriff Washburn's warning echoed in his mind. Brennan's dirty. This is organized, professional. He looked at the two children, Lily clinging to his hand. Harper barely conscious, but still holding on to his daughter like her life depended on it. Someone in the police wanted Harper dead, and Dominic had just put himself between that someone and their target. We need to move, he said. Dom, we can't outrun them with wounded. We're not running, we're regrouping. He signaled to the Brotherhood. Take the girls to the compound. Full lockdown. Nobody in or out until I say so. What about you? Dominic watched the police cars getting closer, watched the way they moved, too coordinated, too aggressive. I'm going to find out who's behind this, and then I'm going to end them. He knelt beside Harper. You're going to be okay, he told her. My people are going to take care of you. Take care of Lily. Can you trust me? Harper's eyes focused on his face. So much pain in those eyes, so much fear, but underneath it all, something else. Strength. I don't trust anyone, she whispered. Smart kid. He almost smiled. Trust me anyway. Just this once. Harper looked at Lily, at the little girl who still held her hand, at the family who had appeared from nowhere to save them both. She nodded. It was the first time she'd trusted an adult in 14 months. She didn't know yet that this choice would change everything. The compound gates closed behind them like the jaws of a steel beast. Harper drifted in and out of consciousness as hands carried her inside. Voices swirled around her, urgent and worried, but she couldn't make sense of the words. Everything hurt. Everything was fading. She's lost too much blood, someone said. Doc, she thought. The one with gray hair. I need to work fast. Do whatever you have to do, Rosie answered. That kid saved Lily's life. Harper felt herself being lowered onto something soft. A bed. An actual bed with sheets and pillows and warmth. She couldn't remember the last time she'd been in a real bed. Harper, Lily's voice cut through the fog. Harper, can you hear me? I'm here, Harper whispered, or tried to. She wasn't sure if the words came out. Don't leave me, please. You promised. A small hand found hers, cold fingers interlaced with her own. Harper held on. She didn't let go. Dominic stood his ground as 6 police cruisers surrounded the alley. Officers poured out weapons, drawn, shouting commands that overlapped into chaos. On the ground, everyone on the ground, now! The Iron Wolves didn't move. 18 men stood in formation behind their president, hands visible, but not raised, faces hard as granite. Detective Carl Brennan pushed through the line of officers. His badge caught the light from the strobing cruisers. His smile didn't reach his eyes. Dominic Mercer, fancy meeting you here. Brennan, Dominic's voice was flat. You're a long way from your jurisdiction. Multi-agency cooperation. The FBI asked for assistance tracking a kidnapping suspect. Brennan's smile widened. Imagine my surprise when I find the Iron Wolves in the middle of it all. The kidnapping victim is my daughter. She's been missing for 3 days. And where is she now? Safe. I'll need to verify that myself, along with the other child, the one your men were seen fleeing with. Dominic felt Snake tense beside him. The Brotherhood shifted, ready for whatever came next. That child saved my daughter's life, Dominic said carefully. She's wounded. She's receiving medical attention. She's also a suspect in an active kidnapping investigation. She's 7 years old. Age doesn't determine guilt, Mr. Mercer. I'll need to take her into custody for questioning. Dominic stepped closer to Brennan, close enough to see the sweat on the detective's forehead, close enough to smell the fear beneath the cologne. Over my dead body. The officers raised their weapons. The Iron Wolves didn't flinch. Brennan's smile finally cracked. You're making a mistake. Obstruction of justice. Harboring a fugitive. I can have every one of you in cuffs within the hour. Try it. The standoff stretched for 10 seconds. 20, 30. Brennan broke first. This isn't over, he said, stepping back. I'll be back with federal warrants. And when I am, no amount of biker solidarity will protect you. He signaled to his officers. They retreated to their vehicles, but they didn't leave. They set up a perimeter at the end of the street lights, still flashing a silent promise. Snake exhaled slowly. That was too easy. It wasn't easy. It was strategic. Dominic watched the cruisers. He's not here to arrest us. He's here to find the girls. When he couldn't get to them, he backed off to regroup. So what do? We figure out who he's working for, and we end them before they can try again. Dominic pulled out his phone and dialed Sheriff Washburn. June, I need everything you can find on Marcus Webb. Harper woke to the sound of arguing. Her body felt strange, heavy and light at the same time. She tried to move and pain flared through her shoulder, but it was duller now, wrapped in something soft. She can't stay here. It's not safe for any of us. She saved Lily's life, Danny. What do you want me to do? Throw her back on the streets? I want you to think we've got cops surrounding the compound. We've got a trafficking ring trying to kill us. And now we've got a homeless kid with no papers, no family, and no legal protection. Do you know what happens if child services gets involved? I don't care what happens. You should care. We could lose everything, the club, the compound, maybe even Lily. Don't. Dominic's voice dropped to something dangerous. Don't you dare bring my daughter into this. She's already in it. That's my point. This isn't just about one kid anymore. It's about all of us. Silence stretched between them. Harper lay perfectly still, barely breathing. She'd heard arguments like this before. In foster homes, when the adults decided she was too much trouble. In shelters, when there weren't enough beds. Every time the answer was the same. Get rid of the problem. She was always the problem. Slowly, carefully, she started to sit up. If she could get to the window, maybe she could. You're awake. Harper froze. Rosie stood in the doorway, her expression unreadable. How much did you hear? Enough. Rosie crossed the room and sat on the edge of the bed. Up close, she looked tired. The kind of tired that went bone deep. Danny's scared. We all are. But that doesn't mean he's right. I can leave, Harper said quickly. I don't want to cause problems. Just tell me where Lily is so I can say goodbye. You're not going anywhere. But, Harper. Rosie's hand covered hers. Warm. Gentle. Nothing like the foster mother who'd grabbed her in the dark. You carried a child through gunfire. You stood in front of bullets for someone you'd known for hours. Do you have any idea how rare that is? Harper didn't answer. She didn't know what to say. Danny's worried about the club. That's his job. But Dom, Rosie smiled slightly. Dom's worried about you. And when that man decides someone is family, heaven and hell can't change his mind. I'm not family, I'm nobody. You're not nobody. You're the girl who saved his daughter. Rosie stood. Rest. Heal. Let us handle the rest. She left, closing the door softly behind her. Harper stared at the ceiling. Family. The word felt foreign, like a language she used to speak but had forgotten. 3 doors down, Lily refused to sleep. I want to see Harper. She's resting, sweetheart. Doc says she needs... I don't care what Doc says. She's my friend. She saved me. I want to see her. Dominic knelt in front of his daughter. Even after everything, the kidnapping, the chase, the terror, she was still the bravest person he knew. Harper's hurt Lily. She needs time to heal. Then I'll sit with her. I won't talk. I'll just hold her hand. Lily's chin lifted. She held my hand when I was scared. Now it's my turn. Dominic's throat tightened. He remembered Elena saying almost the same words when he came back from Afghanistan, broken and bleeding and convinced he didn't deserve to live. She held my hand when I was scared. Now it's my turn. Elena had saved him. Her love, her patience, her refusal to give up. And now his daughter was showing the same strength. Okay, he said softly. I'll take you to her. He lifted Lily into his arms and carried her down the hall. When he pushed open Harper's door, the girl was sitting up, eyes wide with surprise. Lily, I came to hold your hand. Lily reached out. Is that okay? Harper hesitated. Then slowly she extended her own hand, their fingers interlaced. Does it hurt? Lily asked. Your shoulder. A little. When I got my ears checked at the hospital, the doctor gave me a sticker afterward. It helped. Lily paused. I don't have a sticker, but I can sing you a song. Daddy sings to me when I'm scared. You don't have to. But Lily was already singing. a soft, simple melody that Harper didn't recognize. Her voice was high and sweet and slightly off-key, and it was the most beautiful thing Harper had heard in 14 months. Dominic watched from the doorway. Two children who had found each other in the darkness. Two children who had no reason to trust anyone but had chosen to trust each other. He thought about the conversation with Danny, about the risks, the dangers, the legal nightmares that awaited them. None of it mattered. Harper Reed had carried his daughter through hell, had stood in front of a gun for her, had refused to abandon her even when every instinct should have told her to run. That made her family. And Dominic Mercer protected his family, no matter the cost. The call came at 3 a.m. Sheriff Washburn's voice was tight with barely controlled fury. "I found your leak." Dominic sat up in his chair. He'd been dozing in the hallway between the girls' rooms, unable to sleep, unwilling to leave them unguarded. "Talk to me." "Marcus Webb. He's a name we've been chasing for almost a decade. International trafficking. Children mostly. Sells them overseas to the highest bidder." Dominic's stomach turned. Lily. Was targeted specifically. Blind wealthy family, easy to control. She would have fetched a premium price in certain markets. Washburn paused. "Webb has connections everywhere, Dom. Politicians, judges, law enforcement. Brennan's been on his payroll for 8 years. How high does it go? High enough that we can't trust anyone in Memphis PD. Maybe not even the local FBI field office. So, what do we do? I've got a contact at Justice Department. Clean. Trustworthy. I'm driving to Nashville tonight to brief her in person. If we can build a case, we can bring in federal resources that Webb can't touch." "How long?" 48 hours, maybe less." Dominic looked at the closed doors. Two children sleeping inside. Two children who might not have 48 hours. Webb's not going to wait that long. "I know. That's why I need you to hold the line. Keep those girls safe. Don't let anyone in or out until I give the all clear. And if they come before you get back." Washburn's silence said everything. "Whatever it takes, Dom. Whatever it takes to keep them alive." She hung up. Dominic sat in the darkness listening to the sound of his own breathing. Then he stood and walked to the compound's main hall where Snake and the others were waiting. "We've got 48 hours, he said. "Maybe less. Webb is going to make a move." "What kind of move?" "The kind that ends with those two girls dead or disappeared." The Brotherhood exchanged glances. These were men who had seen war, who had buried friends and killed enemies and survived things that would break ordinary people. None of them hesitated. "What do you need?" Snake asked. "Everything. Lock down the compound. Arm everyone. Bring in anyone we can trust. And someone wake up Gears. I need to know everything there is to know about Marcus Webb." The Iron Wolves moved. And somewhere across the city, Marcus Webb was making plans of his own. "You're telling me they're hiding in a biker compound surrounded by 20 armed men and you can't get to them?" Webb's voice was soft, controlled. That was always the dangerous sign. Brennan shifted uncomfortably. "The compound's a fortress. They've got cameras, motion sensors, dogs. Plus the sheriff is involved now. If you move too aggressively, what you'll face consequences." Webb laughed, but there was no humor in it. "Detective, you've been taking my money for 8 years. You've helped me move over 200 children through this city. Do you really think consequences are still on the table for you?" Brennan paled. "What do you want me to do?" "I want you to think creatively. The compound is protected. Fine. So we don't attack the compound." Webb leaned forward. "We attack the people who protect it." "What do you mean?" "The Iron Wolves aren't just a motorcycle club. They're a family. They have children, grandchildren, parents, siblings, people who don't live behind those walls." Understanding dawned in Brennan's eyes. "You want to take hostages." "I want leverage. Find me someone connected to one of those bikers, someone vulnerable, someone they'll trade for." "That could take time." "Then I suggest you stop wasting it talking to me." Webb's smile returned cold and predatory. "You have 12 hours, detective. Bring me leverage or I'll find someone more capable." Brennan left without another word. Webb turned to his window and looked out at the Memphis skyline. This city had made him rich, had given him power beyond anything he'd imagined as a young man. He wasn't going to let a 7-year-old homeless girl take it all away. Harper couldn't sleep. Her shoulder throbbed despite the painkillers. Her mind raced despite the exhaustion. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw the warehouse, the guns, the men who wanted her dead. She slipped out of bed, careful not to wake Lily, who had fallen asleep in the chair beside her. The little girl's hand was still extended, reaching for Harper even in dreams. The hallway was quiet. Harper moved silently the way she'd learned on the streets, past closed doors and sleeping guards, down a staircase and into a large open room filled with leather furniture and motorcycle memorabilia. A woman sat alone at the bar, nursing a glass of something amber. She turned when Harper entered. Couldn't sleep either. Harper recognized her. Rosie. The one who'd said Dom was worried about her. No. Come sit. I won't bite. Harper approached cautiously and climbed onto a bar stool. Her feet dangled, not reaching the floor. Rosie studied her for a long moment. You want to know something, Harper? What? I was like you once, a long time ago. Rosie swirled her drink. 13 years old. Mom was dead, Dad was in prison. I lived on the streets for 2 years before the Iron Wolves found me. Harper's eyes widened. You were homeless? Homeless, hungry, invisible. I know what it feels like to think nobody will ever see you. Rosie set down her glass. But I was wrong. Someone did see me. Dom's father, actually. The old president. He found me shivering behind a diner one January night and asked if I wanted a hot meal. And you said yes. I said no. I didn't trust him. Didn't trust anyone. Rosie smiled at the memory. But he kept coming back. Every night for 2 weeks he'd show up with food. Never pushed, never demanded, just showed up. What happened? On the 15th night it started snowing. I was so cold I couldn't feel my fingers. He came with a thermos of soup and a blanket and I finally broke. Started crying. Couldn't stop. Rosie's voice softened. He just held me, didn't say anything, didn't ask questions, just held me while I cried out 14 months of being alone. Harper felt something burning in her eyes. Tears. She hadn't cried in so long. Dom's the same way, Rosie continued. Once he decides you're family, that's it. You're family, forever, no takebacks. But I'm not. You are. Rosie reached over and squeezed her hand. The moment you grabbed Lily's hand in that closet, you became one of us. You just don't know it yet. The tears fell. Harper couldn't stop them. 14 months of grief and fear and loneliness came pouring out, and she sobbed into Rosie's shoulder while the woman held her, just held her, didn't ask questions, didn't push. Just like someone had done for Rosie 30 years ago. Just like family. Dawn broke gray and cold over the compound. Dominic stood on the roof watching the police cruisers that still circled beyond the fence. 3 of them now. Waiting. You should sleep. Snake climbed up beside him. The girls are safe. We've got guards on every entrance. I can't sleep. Can't or won't. Dominic didn't answer. He was thinking about Elena, about the day she died bringing Lily into the world, about the promise he'd made over her grave. I'll protect her, no matter what. I'll keep her safe. He'd almost failed. Lily had been in that warehouse for 3 days. 3 days of terror and darkness, and he hadn't been able to find her. A 7-year-old homeless girl had done what he couldn't. Dom. Snake's voice was unusually gentle. The kid, Harper. What's the plan? She stays. That's going to be complicated. I don't care. You should care. She's got no documentation, no family. The state's going to ask questions. Then I'll have answers. Dominic turned to face his oldest friend. She saved my daughter's life. She took a bullet for her. She carried her through hell. I'm not throwing her back to the streets. What are you going to do, adopt her? The word hung in the air. Dominic hadn't thought about it consciously, but now that Snake had said it, he realized that was exactly what he was going to do. Yes. Snake stared at him. You're serious? I've never been more serious about anything in my life. Dom, we're about to go to war with a trafficking ring. We've got corrupt cops at our gates. This is the worst possible time to... It's the best possible time. That kid needs someone to fight for her. Someone to show her that she matters. Someone to prove that not everyone will abandon her. Snake was quiet for a long moment. Then he laughed low and rough. Elena would have done the same thing. I know. She'd also say you're an idiot for taking on more than you can handle. I know that too. Snake clapped him on the shoulder. Then let's get to work. We've got a family to protect. They climbed down from the roof together. Neither of them saw the van that had been parked on the far side of the compound. Neither of them saw the men inside, watching through binoculars taking notes. Neither of them knew that Marcus Webb had already found his leverage, and that by nightfall, everything would change. The attack came at 4 p.m., not at the compound, not at the Iron Wolves at all. Big Mike was the first to know. His phone rang and he answered, expecting an update from one of the perimeter guards. Instead, he heard his daughter screaming, "Daddy! Daddy! Help me! They're taking..." The line went dead. Mike's face went white. His hands started shaking. The phone slipped from his fingers and clattered to the floor. "Mike!" Danny grabbed his arm. "Mike, what happened?" "Sarah." The word came out strangled. "They took Sarah." The room went silent. Sarah was 19, a sophomore at University of Memphis. She lived in a dorm across town, far from the compound, far from the danger. At least, that's what they'd thought. Dominic crossed to Mike in 3 strides. Where? I don't... She was screaming. They took her. Mike. Dominic grabbed his shoulders. Focus. When did she call? Just now. Just now she called. Gears was already at his computer. I'm tracking her phone. If they didn't ditch it, I can... He froze. Got it. Moving northeast. Fast. How far? 20 minutes at current speed. Dominic looked at his brotherhood, at Big Mike, who had never looked small until this moment, at the men who had followed him through everything, who trusted him with their lives. Suit up, he said. We're going hunting. Dom, wait. Snake stepped forward. This could be a trap. They want you to leave the compound. I know. If you go, the girls are vulnerable. I know that too. So what do we do? Dominic looked toward the hallway where Harper and Lily were sleeping. 2 children who had already survived hell. 2 children who were counting on him to keep them safe. He turned to Rosie. You stay. You, Danny, and 6 others. Lock down the compound. Nobody gets in. Nobody. And if they come anyway... Dominic's jaw tightened. Then you hold the line until we get back. He moved toward the garage, the Brotherhood falling in behind him. 15 motorcycles against an unknown enemy, a trap they were walking into with open eyes. And somewhere in the darkness, Marcus Webb smiled. Everything was going exactly according to plan. The silence after the motorcycles left was deafening. Harper stood at the window, watching the last taillight disappear into the distance. Something was wrong. She could feel it in her bones, the same instinct that had kept her alive for 14 months on the streets. They shouldn't have left. Rosie looked up from her position by the door. Dom knows what he's doing. It's a trap. They wanted him to leave. Harper, you don't need to worry about... I've seen how these people think. Harper's voice was harder than a 7-year-old's should be. On the streets, when someone wants to hurt you, they distract you first. Make you look one way while they attack from another. Rosie's expression shifted. For the first time, she looked uncertain. How many guards are left? 6, plus me and Danny. That's not enough. We have cameras, motion sensors. The gates are solid steel. They got into a courthouse and took a judge's daughter last year. I heard about it under the overpass. The homeless people talk about things like that. Harper turned from the window. They'll find a way in. Rosie opened her mouth to respond, but before she could speak, the lights went out. Every light in the compound died at once. Emergency generators kicked in, bathing the hallways in red. What the hell? Danny's voice came from the main hall. Gears! What's happening? No response. Gears had gone with Dominic. Harper grabbed Rosie's arm. "Where's Lily?" "Upstairs, in your room." "I need to get to her." "Harper, wait." But Harper was already running. She took the stairs 2 at a time, her shoulder screaming in protest. The red emergency lights turned everything bloody and strange. Behind her, she heard shouting, the sound of breaking glass, and then gunfire. They were already inside. Harper burst into the bedroom. Lily was sitting up in bed, her sightless eyes wide with terror. "Harper! What's happening?" I heard loud noises. "We have to go, now." Harper grabbed her hand. "Remember the tunnel? The one you told me about? Where your daddy stores supplies. The basement, but it's locked. I can pick locks. Come on." She pulled Lily off the bed, half carrying her toward the door. The gunfire was getting closer. She could hear men's voices now, strangers shouting commands in clipped military tones. "Check every room. Find the girls." Harper's blood ran cold. They weren't after the compound. They weren't after the Iron Wolves. They were after her and Lily. The basement door was at the end of a long hallway. Harper ran, Lily stumbling beside her. Her hand gripped so tight Harper could feel the bones shifting. "I'm scared," Lily whispered. "I know. Me too. But I promised I wouldn't let go, remember?" "I remember." "Then hold on, no matter what." They reached the door. Harper dropped to her knees and pulled out the piece of wire she still carried. Old habits died hard. Her fingers worked the lock while Lily pressed against her back, trembling. "Harper, almost there." "Harper, someone's coming." Footsteps. Heavy. Getting closer. "Come on, come on, come on." The lock clicked. Harper yanked the door open, shoved Lily through, and followed just as a voice shouted behind them. "There, down there!" She slammed the door and felt for a deadbolt. Found one. Threw it home. Something slammed against the door from the other side. "Go!" Harper pushed Lily toward the stairs. "Down! Keep going down!" They descended into darkness. Harper's injured shoulder screamed with every movement, but she didn't stop. Couldn't stop. Behind them, the pounding on the door grew louder. Then the shooting started. Bullets punched through the wood. Harper threw herself over Lily, rolling them both down the final few steps. Pain exploded through her body, but Lily was safe. Lily was beneath her. Lily was alive. "Harper!" Lily's voice was a sob. "Harper, are you okay?" "I'm fine. Keep moving." She wasn't fine. Something warm was spreading across her back. But that didn't matter now. The basement was vast and dark. Harper pulled Lily forward, feeling along the walls, searching for the tunnel Lily had mentioned. "Which way?" she gasped. "Lily, which way is the tunnel?" "I don't know. It's dark. I can't." Lily stopped. "Wait, I can hear air. Moving air. From the left." Harper turned left. Her hands found a metal door, rusted but solid. Another lock. Behind them, the basement door burst open. Flashlights swept through the darkness. Harper's fingers worked faster than they ever had. The lock was old, complicated, fighting her every step. "I see them over there." "Come on," Harper begged. "Come on, please." The lock clicked. She yanked the door open and pushed Lily through just as a hand grabbed her ankle. "Got you!" Harper kicked. Her foot connected with something soft, a face maybe, and the grip loosened. She scrambled through the tunnel entrance and slammed the door behind her. This lock was on their side. She threw the bolt. "Harper!" Lily was crying now. "Harper, I can smell blood. You're hurt." "I'm okay." "You're not. I can smell it. I can—" "Lily!" Harper grabbed her shoulders. "Listen to me. We have to keep moving. Whatever happens, we keep moving. Okay?" Lily's breath hitched, but she nodded. "Okay." They ran. 15 miles away, Dominic realized the truth. The GPS signal had led them to an abandoned factory. No vehicles, no guards, no Sarah. Just a cell phone sitting on a concrete floor, still connected to the call that had summoned them here. "It's a decoy," Snake said quietly. Dominic was already on his bike. "Back to the compound. Now." The engines roared. 15 motorcycles tore through the night, racing against time, against distance, against the sinking certainty that they were already too late. Dominic's phone rang. He answered without slowing. "Dom." Rosie's voice was ragged, broken by static, and something that sounded horribly like screaming. "They're inside. I don't know how, but their gunfire drowned out her words. Holding them off, but there's too many. Where are the girls?" Harper took Lily. "Basement. I don't know if..." Another burst of gunfire. "Can't reach them." "I'm coming. Hold the line, Rosie. Whatever it takes." "Dom, if we don't make it..." "You'll make it. I'm coming." He ended the call and pushed the throttle to its limit. The compound was 20 minutes away. 20 minutes might as well be forever. Marcus Webb stood in the command center of his operation, watching multiple camera feeds with the satisfaction of a man whose plans were finally coming together. "Report." "Perimeter secured," one of his men said. "Resistance is minimal. We're sweeping the building now." "And the targets?" Two females matching the descriptions were seen entering the basement. Team 3 is in pursuit. Webb smiled. The homeless girl and the blind one, both of them trapped like rats. "I want the Mercer girl alive. Kill the other one on sight." "Understood." Webb turned to Detective Brennan, who stood in the corner looking increasingly uncomfortable. "You seem nervous, Detective." "This is messier than you promised." "Messes can be cleaned. That's what you're for." Webb poured himself a drink. "In an hour, the homeless girl will be dead. The Mercer child will be on a plane to buyers overseas, and the Iron Wolves will be scattered, their compound destroyed, their reputation ruined. And if Mercer talks, talk requires proof. By morning, there will be no proof, just ashes and accusations from a known criminal organization." Webb sipped his drink. "Relax, Detective. We've done this dance before." Brennan said nothing, but his hand was shaking as he reached for his own glass. Something was about to go very wrong. He could feel it. The tunnel seemed endless. Harper and Lily moved through darkness, guided only by the whisper of air and Lily's extraordinary hearing. The little girl had become their compass, tilting her head at every junction, listening for sounds Harper couldn't detect. "Left," Lily would say. "The air is fresher that way." Or, "Stop. I hear water. There might be a drop." They'd been walking for what felt like hours, but was probably only minutes. Harper's back was on fire. She could feel blood soaking through her shirt, dripping down her spine. "You're slowing down," Lily said quietly. "I'm fine." "You always say that, but you're not fine. You're hurt." "Lily, I can carry you, if you need me to." Harper almost laughed. "Almost. You're 5. I'm strong. Daddy says I'm the strongest person he knows." "Your daddy's right, but I can still walk. Just stay close, okay?" "I'm not going anywhere, I promised." They kept moving. The tunnel began to slope upward. Harper's legs burned with the effort, but she could feel fresh air now, real air, and somewhere ahead she saw a glimmer of light. "We're almost there," she breathed. "Lily, we're almost..." A hand clamped over her mouth from behind. "Don't scream." Harper's body went rigid, a man's voice, low and rough breath hot against her ear. "If you scream, my friends will hear, and they won't be as gentle as me." Lily had frozen. Her hand was still in Harper's grip, squeezing so hard Harper could feel her pulse. "I'm going to remove my hand. If you run, I'll shoot the blind one first. Understand?" Harper nodded. The hand withdrew. She spun around. A man stood behind her, barely visible in the dim light from the tunnel's exit. He was big, dressed in black, a gun in his hand. "Mr. Webb wants a word with you." "I don't know any Mr. Webb." "No, he knows you. The girl who ruined 3 days of careful work. The girl who cost him $2 million. The man smiled. It was not a nice smile. "He's very eager to meet you." Harper's mind raced. She couldn't fight this man, couldn't outrun him, couldn't do anything except... "Okay," she said. The man blinked. "What?" "I'll come with you. Just let Lily go." "Harper, no." Lily's voice was sharp with fear. "It's okay." Harper squeezed her hand one last time, then let go. "Lily, listen to me. The exit is right there. I can see it. 20 steps straight ahead, then up a ladder. You can do it. I won't leave you. You have to. Your daddy's coming. He'll find you, but only if you get out. Harper. Please. Harper's voice cracked. Let me do this. Let me protect you. That's all I have. Please. Tears streamed down Lily's face, but slowly, horribly, she nodded. I'll tell Daddy where you are. He'll come for you. I know he will. Promise me you won't die. Harper couldn't promise that, so she said the only thing she could. I'll try. Lily turned and ran toward the exit. Harper watched her go, counting the steps. 15, 16, 17. The man raised his gun. That wasn't part of the deal. Harper threw herself at him. She was small and weak and injured, but she had surprise on her side. Her body collided with his, just as he fired, and the bullet went wide, ricocheting off the tunnel wall. They fell together, struggling in the darkness. You little... Harper bit his hand. She tasted blood. He screamed and dropped the gun. Run! Harper shrieked. Lily, run! She heard scrambling the clang of ladder rungs, and then light flooded the tunnel as Lily pushed open the exit hatch. The man's fist connected with Harper's face. Everything went white, then gray, then black. The last thing she heard was Lily screaming her name. Dominic reached the compound to find it burning, not fully engulfed. The iron wolves had held the line better than that, but flames licked from several windows, and smoke poured into the night sky. Bodies lay on the ground, some in black tactical gear, some in leather cuts. Rosie. Dominic was off his bike before it stopped moving. Danny. Dom. Rosie emerged from behind an overturned truck, blood streaming from a cut on her forehead. They hit us hard, came in through the sewers under the east fence. The girls, where are the girls? Rosie's face crumbled. Harper took Lily to the basement, into the emergency tunnel. We couldn't reach them. Where does the tunnel exit? Half a mile east, near the old water treatment plant. Dominic turned to Snake. Take 10 men. Find them. What about you? I'm going after Webb. Dom, you don't even know where he is. I'll find him. Dominic's voice was ice. I'll tear this city apart until I find him. His phone rang. Unknown number. He answered. Mr. Mercer. Hi. Webb's voice was smooth, satisfied. I believe I have something that belongs to you. Dominic's blood turned to ice. If you've hurt her, the blind one. She's fine. Currently crawling through a drainage ditch, crying for her daddy. Quite touching, really. Webb paused. But the other one, the little hero, she's with me now. Where? Patience. First, let's discuss terms. I don't negotiate with... You'll negotiate with me, because if you don't, I'll send Harper Reed back to you in pieces. Webb's voice hardened. The girl ruined my operation, cost me millions, made me look foolish in front of people who don't tolerate foolishness. She doesn't get to survive that. What do you want? Simple. I want you to walk away. Take your daughter. Take your club. Leave Memphis and never come back. In exchange, I'll let you live. The homeless girl dies either way, that's not negotiable, but at least you'll have your family. Dominic looked at the burning compound, at his brothers wounded and bleeding, at the sky above Memphis where his daughter was somewhere in the darkness alone and terrified. No deal. Excuse me. Harper Reed is my family. You touch her, I'll kill everyone you've ever known. I'll burn everything you've ever built. I'll make sure your name becomes a warning that people whisper for generations. Silence on the line. Then Webb laughed. You're bluffing. Try me. Mercer, be reasonable. She's a homeless orphan, a nobody. Why would you throw away everything for... Because she's mine. Dominic's voice shook with fury. She carried my daughter through hell. She took bullets for her. She stood in front of guns for her. That makes her mine, and nobody takes what's mine. Webb was quiet for a long moment. Then I suppose we have nothing more to discuss. I'll send you her body when I'm finished. The line went dead. Dominic stood frozen, phone in hand, while the world burned around him. Then Snake was beside him, gripping his shoulder. We found her. Lily. She came out of the tunnel alone. She's okay, Dom. She's okay. And Harper... Snake's silence said everything. Dominic closed his eyes. Harper, the 7-year-old girl who had seen his daughter in danger and hadn't looked away, who had followed kidnappers with nothing but courage and desperation, who had carried Lily through darkness and fire and bullets, never once letting go. She was in the hands of a monster, because of him, because she'd saved his daughter. Where's Lily now? With Rosie, east side by the medical tent. Dominic walked. His legs felt like lead. Everything felt like lead, but he walked because Lily needed to see him, needed to know he was there. She was sitting on a crate wrapped in a blanket, her face streaked with tears. When she heard his footsteps, she turned toward him with an expression that shattered what was left of his heart. Daddy. I'm here, baby. He gathered her in his arms, held her tight, felt her small body shaking with sobs. They took Harper. They took her daddy. She made them take her instead of me. She saved me again. I know. You have to get her back. Promise me. Promise me you'll get her back. Dominic pulled away and looked at his daughter. Blind since birth. Kidnapped, terrorized, traumatized. And still she was thinking about someone else. About the homeless girl who had become her sister. I promise, he said. Whatever it takes. Sheriff Washburn's convoy arrived 20 minutes later. 12 federal vehicles, sirens blazing, filled with agents who had driven through the night from Nashville. June Washburn jumped out before her SUV fully stopped. Dom, we got the warrants. Webb, Brennan, everyone on his payroll, they're going down tonight. Webb has Harper. Washburn's face went pale. What? He took her. An hour ago. He's going to kill her. Do you know where... No, but I know someone who might. Dominic turned to where the captured attackers were being held. 3 of Webb's men, zip-tied and bleeding, guarded by iron wolves who looked eager for an excuse to finish what they'd started. Those men work for Webb. Yeah. Dominic walked toward them. Snake grabbed his arm. Dom, the feds are here. Let them handle... Stand down, Snake. Dom. I said stand down. Snake released him. Dominic approached the first captive and crouched down to meet his eyes. Where is Marcus Webb? The man spat at him. Dominic didn't react. He simply reached out and pressed his thumb against the bullet wound in the man's shoulder. The scream echoed across the compound. Where? I don't know. He never tells us. Dominic pressed harder. Okay. He has a place. An old plantation house 20 miles north. That's where he takes them. That's where he takes them. The man's face went gray. The merchandise, the kids, before they're shipped. Dominic stood slowly. He looked at Sheriff Washburn. You heard him. Dom, we need to coordinate with the FBI. We can't just... That girl has been my daughter for 4 days. Dominic's voice was quiet, but something in it made everyone stop. She's been my daughter since the moment she grabbed Lily's hand and refused to let go. And I will not wait for paperwork while a monster decides whether to kill her. Washburn studied his face for a long moment. Then she nodded. Let's go get your daughter. The convoy moved out, federal agents and iron wolves riding together into the night. Toward Marcus Webb. Toward Harper. Toward the end of everything. Harper woke to the sound of her own screaming. Pain. That was the first thing she understood. Pain everywhere. Her face, her shoulder, her back. She tried to move and found her hands bound behind her, her ankles tied to a chair. Ah, you're awake. The voice was cultured calm, completely wrong. Harper blinked through swollen eyes and saw a man standing before her. Expensive suit, silver hair, a smile that made her skin crawl. Do you know who I am? Harper didn't answer. My name is Marcus Webb. I'm the man whose business you destroyed. Good. The word came out before she could stop it. The slap that followed knocked her head sideways and filled her mouth with blood. Defiant. I expected as much. Webb pulled up a chair and sat facing her. Do you know what I do? Harper. May I call you Harper? Go to hell. Another slap. Harder this time. I sell children. Have for 18 years. Hundreds of them shipped to buyers around the world. Rich men who want pretty things. Organizations that need workers. Markets you can't imagine. Webb leaned forward. Lily Mercer would have been my most profitable acquisition. Blind children are rare, valuable. She would have fetched $2 million. Harper's stomach turned. You're a monster. I'm a businessman. There's a difference. Webb stood and walked behind her. She felt his breath on her neck. You cost me that sale. You cost me my reputation. You made me look like a fool. You are a fool. This time the blow came from behind. Stars exploded across her vision. In a few hours you'll be dead. But first, I want you to understand something. Webb's voice dropped to a whisper. No one is coming for you. The Iron Wolves are scattered. The police are mine. You're alone, Harper, just like you've always been. Harper thought about Lily, about the way she'd said, I'll tell Daddy where you are, about the promise she'd made. You're wrong. Am I? Someone's coming. Someone always comes for family. Webb laughed. Family. You're a homeless orphan. You have no family. Harper lifted her head. Blood dripped from her lip. Her eyes were swelling shut, but her voice was steady. I do now. The convoy stopped half a mile from Webb's estate. Dominic gathered his people, 12 federal agents, 15 Iron Wolves, and Sheriff Washburn, a small army united by a single purpose. Webb has at least 20 men inside, Gear said, working from his laptop in the back of Washburn's SUV. Thermal imaging shows most of them concentrated in the main building. There's a smaller signature in what looks like a basement or cellar. That's where Harper is, Dominic said. How do you know? Because that's where I'd keep someone I wanted to hurt. Washburn studied the satellite imagery. We go in hard and fast. FBI takes the perimeter cuts off escape routes. Iron Wolves breach the main building. I'll lead a team to the basement. No. Dominic's voice was iron. I'm getting Harper myself. Dom, you're not law enforcement if this goes to trial. I don't care about trials. I care about that little girl. Snake stepped forward. We'll create a diversion. Draw Webb's men to the front while you go in the back. That's suicide. It's what we do. Snake gripped Dominic's shoulder. Go get your daughter. We'll handle the rest. Dominic looked at his brothers. Men who had followed him through everything. Men who would die for his family without hesitation. Thank you. Don't thank us. Just bring her home. The assault began at 3:47 a.m. 15 Harleys roared toward the front gates, engines screaming, headlights blazing. The sound alone was enough to wake the dead. Webb's men scrambled. Alarms blared. Gunfire erupted as the Iron Wolves drew fire from every direction, weaving between bullets, creating chaos. In the confusion, no one noticed Dominic slip through the shadows toward the back of the estate. He moved like he was 20 years younger, like he was back in Afghanistan hunting through enemy territory. Every skill he'd learned in war came flooding back, the silent footsteps, the controlled breathing, the ability to become invisible when he needed to be. 2 guards at the back entrance. He took them down before they knew he was there. Through a service door, down a narrow hallway. Following the map Gears had uploaded to his phone, watching for threats, listening for Harper. He heard her voice before he saw her. I'm not scared of you. And then Webb's voice, cold and cruel. You should be. Dominic rounded the corner and saw them. Harper tied to a chair, her face bloody and swollen. Webb standing over her with something in his hand, a knife gleaming in the dim light. Step away from her. Webb spun around. His eyes went wide when he saw the gun pointed at his chest. Mercer, how? I told you what would happen if you touched her. She's nobody, a worthless street rat. Dominic's finger tightened on the trigger. Say that again. Webb's face twisted. For a moment he looked like he might charge. Then his expression shifted, became calculating. Think about what you're doing, Mercer. You shoot me, you go to prison. Your daughter grows up without a father. Is this girl really worth that? Yes. The word hung in the air. Webb looked at Harper, at Dominic, at the gun. You're making a mistake. The only mistake I made was not finding you sooner. Something flickered in Webb's eyes. He raised the knife, and Dominic fired. The bullet caught Webb in the shoulder, spinning him around. He crashed against the wall, screaming, the knife clattering to the floor. Dominic was already moving. He kicked the knife away, put his boot on Webb's chest, and pointed the gun at his face. "Give me a reason, please. Give me a reason to finish this." "Dom." Harper's voice, weak but clear. Don't kill him." Dominic's finger trembled on the trigger. Every instinct told him to end it, to put this monster down like the rabid animal he was. "He hurt you." "I know, but if you kill him, you'll be just like him, and Lily needs you to be better than that." Harper's eyes met his. "I need you to be better than that." The gun wavered. Dominic looked at the bleeding man beneath his boot, at the fear in Webb's eyes, at the justice that would be so easy to take. Then he looked at Harper, at his daughter. He lowered the gun. "You're lucky she's a better person than either of us." Federal agents swarmed the room moments later. They took Webb into custody, called for medical assistance, began the process of documenting everything. Dominic didn't notice any of it. He was on his knees beside Harper, cutting her bonds, gathering her broken body into his arms. "I've got you. I've got you, sweetheart. You're safe now. You came." Harper's voice was barely a whisper. "I told him someone would come. I'll always come. Do you understand? Always." "I didn't know if—" She was crying now, tears mixing with blood on her battered face. "I've never had anyone come for me before." Dominic held her tighter. His own tears fell, and he didn't try to hide them. "You do now. You'll always have someone now." "Daddy," Lily's voice. Dominic turned and saw his daughter in the doorway, held back by Rosie, straining toward them. "Lily, let me go. I want to see Harper. I want—" Rosie released her. Lily ran forward, guided by the sound of voices, and crashed into them both. Harper, are you okay? I was so scared I thought, I'm okay." Harper's arms wrapped around the smaller girl. "I'm okay, Lily. I'm here. You saved me. Again. You keep saving me. You saved me too. You told them where I was. You didn't give up. I couldn't. You're my sister." The word echoed through the room. Sister. Harper had never had a sister. Never had anyone who claimed her, who wanted her, who refused to let her go. Until now. "Yeah," she said softly. "I guess I am." Detective Carl Brennan was arrested at 5:23 a.m. He'd tried to run when he saw the federal convoy heading toward Webb's estate. Made it 3 blocks before Sheriff Washburn's deputies intercepted him. Now he sat in handcuffs in the back of a squad car, watching his entire world collapse. Washburn approached the vehicle and opened the door. "Carl, you have the right to remain silent." "June, listen to me. You have the right to an attorney. If you cannot afford one, I can give you names, everyone in Webb's network, politicians, judges, cops. I can bring down the whole operation." Washburn studied him for a long moment. 8 years, Carl. For 8 years, you helped that man sell children, helped him destroy families, helped him get rich off human misery. Her voice was quiet, devastating. "And now you want to make a deal." "I didn't have a choice." "There's always a choice. You made yours." She stepped back. "Take him." The door closed. The car drove away. Brennan would eventually testify against Webb's entire network in exchange for a reduced sentence. 47 people would be arrested. 112 children would be recovered from trafficking operations across 3 continents. But none of that would erase what he'd done. Some choices couldn't be taken back. Harper spent 3 days in the hospital. Her injuries were extensive multiple contusions, a reopened gunshot wound, 2 cracked ribs, a fractured cheekbone. The doctors marveled that she was alive at all. "This child's pain tolerance is extraordinary," one of them told Dominic. "Most adults couldn't have endured what she went through." "She's not most people." Lily refused to leave Harper's side. She slept in a chair next to the bed, her hand always reaching out to touch Harper's arm or hold her fingers. "I can hear your heartbeat," Lily explained when Harper asked why she stayed so close. "When I can hear it, I know you're okay." The iron wolves came in shifts. Snake brought flowers that Harper didn't know what to do with. Rosie brought books and read to both girls for hours. Big Mike, who had found his daughter Sarah unharmed, released by Webb's men when the operation fell apart, sat silently by the door like a mountain made of gratitude. And Dominic. Dominic was always there. He handled the police interviews, the social workers, the endless paperwork. He fielded calls from reporters and lawyers and government officials. He did everything in his power to shield Harper from the chaos that swirled around them. On the third day, a woman from Child Protective Services arrived. "Mr. Mercer, we need to discuss the child's placement." Dominic stood slowly. He'd been dreading this conversation. "Her placement is with me." "You're not a licensed foster parent. You have no legal claim." "I'm her father." The social worker blinked. "Excuse me. I'm filing for adoption. Today. The paperwork is already being processed." "Mr. Mercer, these things take time. Background checks, home studies, court approval. Sheriff Washburn has already spoken to Judge Martinez. Given the circumstances, including Harper's role in bringing down an international trafficking ring, the court is expediting the process. That's highly irregular. So is a 7-year-old girl saving 36 children by refusing to give up." Dominic's voice softened. "Harper Reed has spent her entire life being failed by the system. Foster homes that didn't protect her. A state that lost track of her. Adults who looked the other way." He glanced at the bed where Harper lay sleeping, Lily curled up beside her. "That ends now. She's my daughter. And no one, no system, no bureaucracy, no well-meaning official is going to take her from me." The social worker studied his face. Something in her expression shifted. "I'll need to interview the child. Make sure this is what she wants." "Of course." When Harper woke, the social worker was gentle, patient. She asked questions about Harper's life before the grandmother, the foster home, the streets. She asked about the compound, the iron wolves the past few days. And then she asked the question that mattered. "Harper, if you could go anywhere in the world, where would you want to live?" Harper looked at Lily, who was pretending to be asleep. At Dominic, who stood by the window trying to look casual and failing completely. At Rosie and Snake, and all the others who had somehow become her people. "Here," she said, "I want to stay here. With these people. This family. They're my family now. They chose me. Nobody ever chose me before." The social worker closed her notebook. "I think we're done here." The adoption was finalized 6 weeks later. It should have taken months, maybe years. But Sheriff Washburn pulled strings. Judge Martinez expedited hearings. The FBI submitted testimony about Harper's courage. The state embarrassed by how thoroughly they'd failed. This child moved faster than anyone thought possible. On a clear September afternoon, Harper stood before a judge with Dominic on one side and Lily on the other. "Harper Reed," the judge said, "do you understand what's happening today?" "Yes, ma'am." "You're being adopted by Dominic Mercer. He will become your legal father. You will become Harper Mercer. Do you consent to this?" Harper looked at the man who had found her in darkness and refused to let go. The man who had killed for her, fought for her, loved her when she'd forgotten what love felt like. "Yes." "Do you have anything you'd like to say?" Harper hadn't prepared anything, but the words came anyway. "For a long time I thought I was invisible. Nobody saw me, nobody wanted me. I was just a problem to be solved or ignored." Her voice shook, but she didn't stop. "Then I met Lily. She couldn't see anything, but she saw me. And Dom, he saw me too. They all did. The whole family." She looked at the iron wolves who had filled the courtroom, at Rosie, who was crying, at Big Mike, who was trying very hard not to. "I don't know why they chose me. I'm not special. I'm just a kid who did what anyone would have done." "That's not true." Lily's voice was fierce. "Anyone wouldn't have done it. You did. You saved me." "And now we're saving you back," Dominic said quietly. "That's what family does." The judge smiled. "I've seen a lot of families in this courtroom. Some bound by blood, some by law, some by circumstance. But I've never seen a family quite like this one." She picked up her gavel. By the power vested in me by the state of Tennessee, I hereby declare that Harper Reed is now and forever Harper Mercer, daughter of Dominic Mercer, sister of Lily Mercer, member of this family in all ways recognized by law. The gavel fell. The courtroom erupted. Lily threw herself at Harper, laughing and crying at the same time. Dominic lifted them both, one in each arm, and held them against his chest. The iron wolves cheered and stomped and made enough noise to rattle the windows. Harper cried. For the first time in her life, they were tears of pure joy. She had a family. She had a home. She was never going to be invisible again. 10 years passed. Harper Mercer stood in the garage of the Iron Wolves compound, her hands dark with motor oil, her face lit by the glow of an engine she'd spent 3 months rebuilding. You going to start it or just stare at it all day? She grinned at Snake, who leaned against the doorframe with a cup of coffee. I'm savoring the moment. 17 years old, and you're already acting like a dramatic old man. I learned from the best. She turned the key. The engine roared to life, smooth and powerful, the sound of 100 careful hours coming together perfectly. Snake nodded appreciatively. Not bad, kid. Not bad. That's the best rebuild this shop has ever seen. Don't let Danny hear you say that. He still thinks his '75 Sportster was peak mechanical achievement. Harper laughed. It was a sound she made often. Now laughing came easy when you were surrounded by people who loved you. Harper, Lily's voice came from the doorway. 15 years old now, tall and confident, moving through the world with an ease that came from growing up safe and cherished. Dad wants to see you. Something about your internship. The internship. Sheriff Washburn had created it specifically for Harper, a program that placed young people with law enforcement focused on helping at-risk youth. Kids who fell through the cracks. Kids who needed someone to see them. Harper wiped her hands on a rag and followed her sister toward the main building. They walked in comfortable silence, their footsteps synchronized by years of moving together. You nervous? Lily asked. A little. Don't be. You're going to be amazing. How do you know? Lily stopped and turned toward her. Even after all these years, it struck Harper how her sister's sightless eyes seemed to see everything that mattered. Because you already are amazing. You've been saving people since you were 7. This is just making it official. Harper pulled her into a hug. I love you, you know that. I know. I love you too. Lily squeezed back. Now go. Dad's waiting. Dominic was in his office, gray-haired now, but still strong, still carrying himself with the quiet authority of a man who had earned respect through decades of loyalty and love. You wanted to see me. Close the door. Harper obeyed, suddenly nervous. Is something wrong? No, something's right. Dominic pulled a small box from his desk drawer. I've been waiting for the right moment to give you this. He opened the box. Inside was a bracelet woven leather in the Iron Wolves colors, with a small metal charm engraved with the date of her adoption. Elena made one like this for me, Dominic said softly, before she died. It was her way of saying I belong to the family, even though I came from outside. When you and Lily came into my life, I had Maria make 2 more. He fastened the bracelet around Harper's wrist. You've been my daughter for 10 years, but I don't think I've ever told you what that means to me. Dad, let me finish. His eyes glistened. You saved Lily's life, but you saved mine too. After Elena died, I was going through the motions, taking care of Lily, running the club, doing what needed to be done. But I wasn't really living. He took her hands. Then you came along. This fierce, brave, broken little girl who had every reason to give up but never did. You reminded me what it meant to fight for something. What it meant to love someone so much you'd walk through fire for them. I was just trying to survive. No, you were trying to protect someone who needed you. That's different. Dominic smiled. That's what makes you a Mercer. Harper looked at the bracelet on her wrist, at the man who had become her father, at the life she had built from the ashes of everything she'd lost. Thank you, she said, for choosing me. Thank you for letting me." They hugged for a long time. Then Dominic pulled back all business again. "Now, about this internship. Washburn wants you to start next month. You'll be shadowing officers, learning the system, figuring out how to help kids who are where you were." "I want to do it." "I know you do, but I want you to understand something." His voice was serious. "This work will be hard. You'll see things that remind you of your past. You'll meet kids who can't be saved no matter how hard you try. I know. You'll want to save all of them. You won't be able to." "I know that too." Harper lifted her chin. "But I can save some of them, and some is better than none." Dominic studied her face. Whatever he saw there made him nod. "You're ready. I've been ready for 10 years. That evening, the whole family gathered for dinner. The table was loud with conversation and laughter. Big Mike's grandchildren chased each other between chairs. Rosie argued good-naturedly with Snake about something that had happened 20 years ago. Danny's kids begged for dessert before the meal was finished. And in the middle of it all, Harper sat between Lily and Dominic, watching the chaos with a full heart. "What are you thinking about?" Lily asked. "I'm thinking about the night we met, how scared we both were." "I wasn't scared," Lily grinned. "I was terrified." "Me too, but you grabbed my hand anyway. You told me not to let go. And you didn't." Lily's fingers found hers under the table just like they had 1,000 times before. "I never will." After dinner, Harper walked to the edge of the compound and looked up at the stars, the same stars she used to watch from beneath highway overpasses, wondering if she would survive another night. Dominic appeared beside her. "You okay?" "Better than okay." Harper breathed deep. "I was just thinking about what you said, about saving kids who are where I was. And I'm not going to try to save all of them. I know I can't." She turned to face him. "But every kid I help, every kid I show that someone sees them, that's one more kid who might grow up to help someone else. One more kid who knows they're not invisible. That's a good philosophy. It's the only one that makes sense." Harper looked back at the compound, at the lights glowing warm through the windows, at the family that had chosen her when no one else would. "Family isn't blood," she said softly. "It's who shows up, who stays, who chooses you every single day. You've said that before. Because it's true. It was true when Lily grabbed my hand in that closet. It was true when you carried us both through gunfire. It's true now." She smiled. "I used to be invisible, a ghost, a nobody that the world had forgotten. And now," Harper Mercer looked at her father, at the bracelet on her wrist, at the stars above, and the home behind her, and the future stretching out like a road with no end. "Now I'm seen. Now I'm remembered. Now I'm loved." She took his hand. And that's the only happy ending that ever mattered. They walked back to the house together, to the warmth and the noise, and the family waiting inside. Behind them, the darkness held no more power. It never would again. Because Harper Mercer had learned the truth that night in a burning warehouse carrying a blind girl through hell. The people who save you are sometimes the ones you saved first. And family, real family, is the one thing that no darkness can ever destroy.